السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Welcome again. Inshallah, today we will continue our study of Surah Yasin. Last week, we started discussing the second part of that story, that metaphor. So just a very brief reminder of what we were doing. So chapter Yasin started with the scripture, the message, and the messenger. Then briefly talked about two types of personality, who one that is as if categorically against the message and messenger from the very beginning. So we made a description of such a mindset through 3-4 verses. Then described a personality type which is open to accepting message, or those who can benefit from message. Then with a final verse talked about resurrection and day of judgment, as if reminding us of purpose of life and responsibility, and also everything in this existence being given existence or being created within an order. Then this was like over this paper, it is slightly more than half a page. Now we go to the next page of Surah Yasin, and there's an entire page of a story. And in that story, a story of a township, people of a township was being given. And it started saying that two messengers came to those people. They denied, and a third one came supporting the previous two. And they all said, we are messengers sent to you by the Creator. But then those people denied the messenger on the basis of, you are like humans, like us. This was the first premise that they said. The second one is, and the merciful does not reveal anything anyways. So there's no revelation, no message coming down from the merciful. Then those messengers brought their argument saying that indeed our Lord knows that we are sent to you. And there's nothing other than delivering the message that is upon us. This is what they said. And then those people then started saying that you are bringing us bad omen. So if you don't stop delivering this message, we're going to stone you to death, or some calamity is going to touch you from us. Then those messengers, being very calm, they said, your omen, bad omen, is within you. It's not something that I brought in. It was within you, and it is within you because of your perception. So let me remember, or actually we can go back. So they said, قالوا طائركم معكم إن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. So then they said, you are, if you know, actually, and is it because that I am reminding you, we are reminding you of truth, is this bad omen? So your bad omen is within you. So, but indeed you are wasting. We are being wasteful. So we discussed all these in detail. And last week we started talking about the second chapter of that story. A new scene starts being depicted in the second part of that story. Just for the sake of completeness, I will start discussing from here quickly, a little bit more in depth than how I did for the rest of the beginning of the chapter. And inshallah, after we made this introduction, we will get into the remaining part of this second scene in that story. So, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And there came from the farthest end of the city a man running. He said, "O my people, follow the messengers." So when we were discussing this, we said that why is this now? This is a new imagery, a man coming to that city from the end of that city, actually. And as if coming to the center, so from periphery coming to the center of the city by running. So we were discussing why is this just a man? Because it says rajulun, just his, as if no one, no identity, no title, just an ordinary person, as if it is highlighting, just to remember, this is a metaphor or this is a story to support the initial claims. What was the initial claim? The initial claim was at the very beginning of the surah, two personality types were being discussed. One being against the message and messenger, the second type being open to the message. So this example is being given to make this initial statement understandable. So in the first part of that story, we already saw how the mindset that's against messenger being exemplified. So now in the second part, this part of the story is going to give us hints about who is open to message, in what circumstances I can be more open to message, since Quran is talking about me, in which cases I am being against message and messenger. And if I recondition myself in what way, then I can become open to message and message starts speaking to me. So this is such a man. And this man doesn't have any identity. He is simply rajulun, just a man. And this man is, which means, and it makes sense, as we have been talking last week, this man doesn't have anything to lose, actually. He doesn't have any title in the society, or he's not like, well, I said this and that 20 years ago. Now and since for the last 20 years, this is what I have been preaching or defending, no, I cannot step back. This is not such a man. This man doesn't have any such a position. He's a man. He's just a regular human. So this is why for this person, accepting the message is not going to cost anything for the ego. This is what is challenging for me. In the society, if I have some truth established for myself, and then if a messenger comes and tells me that you are wrong, I would drag my foot, and I will try not to accept it. So this guy is not such a person, he's just a rajul. So I should ask the question to myself, how do I define myself? Do I define myself with my titles, or do I define myself just as a human? So this is what this part of that story is hinting. And this person was coming from the farthest end of the city. So we were discussing why city, what does the city signify here? Because at the beginning of the story, it was just a qarya, like a township. But now this man is coming from the farthest end of the city, as if supporting what we were just saying. This society life gives us titles, because top of a mountain, if you are a shepherd, you are no one. But as you get into society life, you start getting degrees, some identities. So is my identity becoming an obstacle, a barrier between me and truth? So this man is coming from outside. So he is away from such restrictions of social ranking that can prevent him from accepting the truth. And in our practical lives, I might be a scientist, I might be, I don't know, a philosopher, this and that. So all those things, if I say, well, if I say I believe in God, what would they think about me? Because I'm a scientist or I'm a philosopher. So like, belief seems to be something old school, like people that doesn't think seems to be believing, so on and so forth. So these are being obstacles before the message. Then this man says to those people, what he says is, follow the messengers. This is the interesting part of it. He comes from outside. And also another way that was mentioned last week, coming from outside means if we take, so we were evaluating, it's taking longer than I thought. We were evaluating message in two ways, messenger in two ways. One is as human messengers, which this story speaks to us about that too, but also things that happen in life, like a promotion at work or an accident, a car accident. Both are being sent to me as messengers. But when I am very much involved with the thing itself, as if I am at the core of the event, I'm not able to clearly see what is the message with this to me. But someone coming from outside or looking from outside to that event gives me a better perspective of what does this tell me? Actually, it's a message. Otherwise, as the other type of personality before this verse was doing, I can take it as, no, this is a attack to my personality, or this is attack like a car accident. It's an attack to my being. It's trying to kill me. I'm not taking it as a message or messenger. But if I look at it from outside, like look at the whole existence, everything is within an order. Is this car accident out of that order? And it's not being created by the orderer, which creates the rest of the order. So if I look at it from far, I start seeing this, like being emotionally unengaged for a moment. And this is what this man coming from outside of the city might also mean. This is what we said. Then going to the next verse with the last part of this verse, which is follow the messengers. So he insistently says that you should follow the messengers. So why is it that I'm going to follow messengers? And this had been our major question, right? And the first type of personality was rejecting following messengers who are like me. So why shall I follow them? And because it might be that they are deceiving me. How do I know that they are messengers actually? Likewise, a car accident. How do I know that it's carrying a message to me and it's not trying to take my life away, just like some random act and some drunken person hit my car? As if here is a litmus test the Quran is offering here to me, saying that these messengers are not asking anything for themselves. Because if they were asking something for themselves, like they are going to gain something out of this interaction, then you would have you would be excused to say that these people are doing it for gaining something out of this deal. So this is why I wouldn't trust them. But if they are selfless, this is an indication, like being selfless is an indication that in the first place, they themselves are guided. So in the translation, it's being translated as follow those who do not ask of you any payment and they are guided. But we used this as an alternative. Rather than translating wa in there as and, we said it can also be therefore they are guided. This is why they are guided. Because I am interested in following someone who themselves guided. How do I know that they are guided? So the evidence for that is they are not asking for any payment for themselves. And while we were discussing this, we said, what sort of a payment can it be? Like a messenger asking for money. But there are also other sorts of payments that can be given, like a position in the society. Or do I see that if I appreciate that person, is this person becoming like when I say, oh, you are a great teacher, let's say. Is this person, do I feel like this person is being happy with that? If he or she does, then there's an issue in there because he's accepting a payment from me. I praised this person and this person accepted this as a payment and became happy with it. Well, what's wrong with that? This indicates something, which is I have some value. Like what you said is right, actually. I'm a great teacher. But if this is the case, this is totally contradictory to creator being the creator of everything. So how come messenger of creator is going to be oblivious of that truth and actually will go against this truth and accept this payment as if I am bribing this person, saying that you're a great teacher? And he says, yes, I'm a great teacher, which is a lie in terms of, no, whatever you see beautiful in me is from my creator. This is what a messenger would say. So this is why messengers not asking for any payment, ajra, is an indication that they are rightly guided. So as a rule of thumb, then I can use this for myself, for others. Is the person asking for some sort of a payment? And I can use this as a litmus test for myself as well. When somebody gives me a payment of that sort, do I accept it? Do I buy into it? So it's a nice litmus check in here, and it makes sense. And also we can apply it to a car accident. Do I see a car accident as it is trying to take away my life? But what is it, the gain? What sort of a gain is a car accident have by taking my life away? It's just like a random act, which is contrary to the order within the existence. So there's no gain in there. So, but if I take it as this car accident was like an official of my creator, as if I phrase it in a different way, it's going to make more sense to you, like the traditional wording. Azrael, the angel, archangel Azrael, is now at work, and it's not getting any personal gain by taking my life away. It's just an official of the creator. Then I guess not getting into details of what that means, but if I frame it as such, I guess a person who has a mindset from Sunday school about what Azrael is, then yeah, now it makes sense. So now let's phrase it back. A car accident is within an order, and it's an official of my Lord who is bringing me a message, and it's not claiming my life. It's saying that I'm not taking your life. Your creator is taking your life. I'm just an observer of that event. So very briefly, these verses we discussed. Then very interestingly, the previous two verses were talking about following the messenger. And now verse number 22 says, وَمَا لِيَ لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. And why should I not worship he who created me and to whom you will be returned? So following the messengers were the emphasis of the previous two verses, and now comes immediately worship. So there is a so strong relationship between following the messengers and worshiping the creator. Because as if in between these, there's a silence in between verses 21 and 22, and we can put a question in there. Like those people are, as if since this person in the story is talking to his people, those people ask, why are you worshiping, or why are you following those messengers? What's your goal? What are you going to gain out of that? Then he says, as if, وَمَا لِيَ لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي. Why should I not worship he who created me? Following the messengers is equal to worshiping the one who created me. Because following the messenger doesn't mean that he is walking in the street and I am walking right behind him, like physically, it's not the case. But those people walked a certain life, and their life, like physically, they lived a life, and this life was meaningfully lived. So it has a external body, if you like. They manifested their morality and their understanding in their physical world as well. Whatever was their conviction, whatever was their iman, they also manifested in their day-to-day actions. So following the messenger means doing both. I am trying to adopt the perspective, the conviction that this messenger came with and lived with, and he seemed to have this consistent, happy, and most importantly, satisfied life. I would like to adopt the same. So this is what it means. So what is it? So they were worshiping the creator. And worship, going back to the previous verse again, they do not accept any payment for themselves. So because they are aware that there is nothing inherently belonging to me. You said I'm a great teacher, it doesn't belong to me. I'm like goodness of speech, goodness of explanation, anything of that sort you see in me doesn't belong to me. So what is it to me? There is no me independently existing other than his creation. So whatever you see here is his creation. This is what abd means. I don't own anything. So this is what I'm going to learn from the messengers actually. The state of being an abd, the state of being a worshipper, meaning realizing that I don't own anything and the owner of the universe also owns me, is what I learned from the messengers. This is why not following the messenger equals not recognizing me being an abd. And we will come to that again. Fatarani, so I'm going to worship the one who gave me this quote unquote nature, fitra. وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. And he is actually now having the conversation with those people. وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. And you are going to be returned to him. What does it mean that you are going to be returned to him? So at the end of the day, when I say, who made this? Who made me? So this question is going to be said, well, if I keep saying, well, I was made by my parents were made by their parents, I can go this sort of a chain. Or I can say, well, I was made by, I'm a summation of what I ate for the last year. How about the things that I ate? So they were a summation of, so no matter how far you go with any sort of chains, eventually everything returns to him, meaning that he is the doer of every single action. Even there is no need for going with these chains. Unless and until I return things back to him, meaning that I, like using a computer science terminology, make the pointers back to him, or say that everything is, I cannot explain anything other than saying that there must be an absolute creator who is giving existence to everything plus me. So إِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. So you all are also being returned to him. So in here, although the translator said you will be returned, this is like present tense. I mean, it can be translated as future, but it's a present also can be translated as present. You are constantly being returned to him. If you just check yourself, there is no need for chaining of causes. Everything in every moment requires the creator of all things. Otherwise, the existence doesn't make any sense. Now we are coming to verse number 23. أَأَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً إِن يُرِدْنِ الرَّحْمَنُ بِضُرٍّ لَا تُغْنِي عَنِّي شَفَاعَتُهُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يُنْقِذُونَ. So I think we were left somewhere around here, if I don't remember wrong. We studied this verse. Yeah, we studied this verse. So I will go through it again. And this intro took too long. Sorry about that. Inshallah, I'm not making you get bored too much. So verse number 23, أَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً. Should I take other than him as deities? إِن يُرِدْنِ الرَّحْمَنُ بِضُرٍّ لَا تُغْنِي عَنِّي شَفَاعَتُهُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يُنْقِذُونَ. If the most merciful intends for me some adversity, their intercession will not avail me at all, nor they can save me. And while discussing this, we said, very interestingly, so after verse number 22 saying that, shall I not worship the one who created me? So if I don't follow the messenger, this is what it means. Then he says, أَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً, as if not following messenger, it's not a neutral state. If I don't follow the messenger, I don't do worship. If I don't do worship, what does it mean? Well, I'm not denying God. I'm not going against God. I'm just neutral. He says, no, there is no neutral state. Because أَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً. then I would take actually other, I would take someone other than him as deities. Like I will, uh, as if I will ascribe partners to the creator. So, because in the story also, they were not denying all merciful. They said all merciful doesn't reveal anything. So now here he says, أَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً, because if I think about it, when I deny or I don't want to worship, if I dig deeper, what is my motivation for not worshiping? Because then that means, like going back to our example, I'm a good teacher. That means I do something, like I own something. I am inherently good in teaching. It belongs to me. It's not given to me. It is mine, which makes me a partner. Because now knowledge belongs to me. Yeah, God also knows, but I also know. I mean, it is mine. And this part is his, that part is mine. So I'm a partner to the creator in this sense. So by not worshiping, by not recognizing that I am needy and he is the provider, I am ascribing myself as a partner to the creator. And it doesn't stop there. Likewise, I would say you, the listener, you're a good listener also, for example. So this is a good quality of you. So I ascribed you as a partner to the creator as well. So either there is one creator or it just starts exponentially exploding. Everything becomes creator. It doesn't stop just in one spot. Well, it's only me and him. So if I don't follow the messenger, then I wouldn't do worshiping. Then it's going to result in me ascribing partners to the creator. And then this remaining part of the verse, if most merciful intends for me some adversity, intercession of any of those partners that I ascribe to him is not going to help me. So in a sense, when we were discussing this verse, as far as I remember last week, we said, in my perception of this world, I am imagining like the creator must be the one who gives goodness. So now the questioner in here says, like the person, how am I going to explain car accident with a merciful creator if I start ascribing partners to that creator? Like all merciful creator, the image of the understanding of an all merciful creator, it doesn't go with ascribing partners. So how am I going to, like, if I say, yeah, there must be a merciful God, but then philosophers will rightfully ask, if there was a God, there wouldn't have been wars, they would say, right? This is what he is saying in here. If I start ascribing partners, then there is no way I can solve the problem of evil. Meaning, like problem of evil in this context, as far as I understand, this might be one meaning of this verse, but if the most merciful intends to do me some harm, like a car accident, none of the partners that I ascribe to him is going to save me from the troubles of like the stress or the meaninglessness. It's only his, like if as long as there are adversaries to that creator, then there's no meaning, no purpose whatsoever. So they cannot save me from that. So this much, I guess we discussed last week. Now let's continue from verse 24. And since I talked a lot, from now on, I will beg you to join me with comments, inshallah. Inni idha lafi dhalalim mubin. Indeed, I would then be in manifest error. Inni amantu bi rabbikum fasma'un. Indeed, I have believed in your Lord, so listen to me. I remember we discussed these two. If we did, anybody wants to make any comment about this briefly, let me first ask it this way. Brother Birkan, did we discuss these two last week?
Assalamu alaikum. I guess I finished with the first one. I touched upon the first one and then stopped there.
Would you like to remind us what we discussed about 24, if you are available?
So the way we discussed 24 last week, it was as a continuation of the previous verse. And we said, if you suggest me to follow false gods, or if I am into following these false gods, they would lead me nowhere but to a manifest error. So my life would be in lost. My life would be unbearable. So this says like a dalale, right? Dalalin mubin. So of course we can translate it as a manifest error, but also it's like, I would say your life is based on mistakes. Your life is based on some mistaken understanding. You are in dalala, meaning whatever you are doing is wrong. You are wrongly guided. So this is where believing in false gods, false idols would take me.
Yeah, so then, Jazakallah khair, if I be in that mindset of ascribing partners, which was, again, repetition is good, I guess, in this regard, not following messengers, not being cognizant of my state of being a worshipper, and practically not doing offering my thanks to my creator with worship, leads to ascribing partners, which will put me into a very clear error, dalal mubin, which is like in this contradictory state, in this existence. I cannot make sense of what's going on. Why did this accident happen? I was promoted the other day, everything was going good, and now this nonsensical thing is happening. There was a gain, and now here is a loss, and eventually I'm going to death. So this ascribing partners puts me into a condition in which I find myself lost. And just to underline again, what we mean by ascribing partners is, I'm a Muslim, alhamdulillah, I'm not ascribing partners, not like that. Practically, if I am saying, or if I am just smiling when somebody says you're a great teacher, and I'm becoming happy with that, because I think I am truly a good teacher, then actually I am ascribing myself, my ego, as a partner to the creator. So in that domain, actually, we are talking about now. So now verse number 25. And if you have any comments, any questions, please raise your hand. Inni amantu bi rabbikum fasma'un. Indeed, I have believed in your Lord, so listen to me. So what I see in here is, okay, Ahnaf, Aram, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I just wanted to add, this reminds me of the person in Surat al-Kahf who had a garden. He wasn't an idol worshiper, but at the end, when his garden is destroyed, he says that, oh me, I have associated partners with Allah. So in that sense, like would like this worshiping, like associating partners with Allah, would that apply to, like, let's say my wealth or my like my house or something like that?
Yes, Jazakallah khair. Very beautiful. Because in this case, my idol becomes first and foremost myself, my conception of myself, and then my wealth on top of it, the things that I give inherent value to, as if in and of itself, it's something valuable and it has an existence of itself. Therefore, it's a creator in this sense. It's a God in this sense. So yes, and practically, actually, if I pay attention, it might be everywhere in my life. Because idol worshiping is like, if we think about it as a stone, it's just a figurative way of explaining it. What are my idols? Me might be the first idol that I might be worshiping, my ego. Jazakallah khair. So in verse number 25 now, the speaker is now saying, I have believed in your Lord, Ya Rabbikum. So there's the certainty, first of all, in inni, so indeed, but there's also amantu, as we have been discussing in those discussions. Amantu is not a wishful thinking, but it's something that I am secure in, I am convinced. And as if this phrase, inni amantu, is, I am 100% sure, I am so convinced in your Lord. So as if now saying, Lord is the one who takes care of things, the sustainer, the provider. And this word Rabb has passed several times before in the story, in the same story. And while discussing it, we said, don't you look at yourself. The three messengers also mentioned, Inni Rabbuna ya'lamu, no, Rabbuna ya'lamu inna alaykum la mursalun. So, and when we were discussing that, we said, don't you look at how you are being maintained, sustained. The one who is knowledgeable is sustaining you. This was how we discussed it before. And now in here, this person is also using a similar argument, saying that don't you look at yourself, how you are being maintained, sustained, from your breathing, from how you see, from how you feel. Everything within you as a human is being perfectly provided and sustained. And I am 100% convinced about your Rabb, your provider, your sustainer. So he is saying that just look at yourself. Even as an outsider, when I look at it, I can see it so clearly. How come you don't see it while you are right in the middle of it? You are being provided. So he says, Fasmaruni. So listen to me. So I am talking to you something about what you are experiencing, what you must be experiencing. So any comments about this part so far? I'll pass to the remaining part of the story. If you have any comments, I would be more than happy to hear. No? Okay. So after this conversation happens, قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. So it was said, enter paradise. قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. And he said, I wish my people could know of how my Lord has forgiven me and placed me among the honored, or among the ones that are given things. So let's have a discussion over here. So what is paradise? What do you think? Is paradise this Rivendell, beautiful, like rivers flowing under the house, above the house, under the house, beautiful trees? What is paradise? How is this man, because this is a metaphor, and I need to find myself in that story. Do I hear ever that if I absorb or take a stand as this second man is taking, do I hear that somebody is calling me to enter paradise? What does it mean? What does it mean to enter paradise, and what is paradise? So 2 questions, maybe 3. Do I hear such a call, or does it make sense when I say, yes, actually, such a man must be called into paradise? Or do I hear such a call? Second, what is paradise? And what does it mean to enter into paradise? Is this man outside of paradise? Where is this person? So these sort of questions that comes to my mind when I read this verse. What do you think? You can pick one of the questions or all of them. Any comments? Or maybe you have questions, other questions that when you read this verse, if you have anything else that attracts your attention. But these are the first three questions that comes to my mind. Brother Birkan, please go ahead.
Selamun Aleyküm, Jazakallah khairan. One thing which attracts my attention here is that, so did the guy with his previous comments or with his previous understanding, with his understanding which is previously shared with us, he was already, if we can say that, like on the gates of the paradise. He was on this journey to paradise with his worldview, which we can summarize, or Quran actually beautifully summarizes in these verses, previous verses, following prophets, following messengers, and not worshipping false idols. And as you also said, we can even equate them and saying that following messengers, which means yani in Arabic, right? Not following false idols. This is the path which takes you to the gates of paradise. And with his worldview, the gates was open for him. Meaning, okay, now you have this worldview in which you can enjoy the beauty of paradise. So we can take this as a historical narration and say that, that means the guy was dead, he was stoned, or the people killed him. But when we try to apply this to ourselves, enter the paradise, what does it mean? I think it means when I have this worldview, when I do not ascribe things to false idols, this understanding opens the gates of paradise for me. That I would be sure, I will be convinced that there must be a paradise, because I sense I can experience some glimpse of it here while living in this world. And I guess in the next verse, it will be a little bit more explained what kind of experience it is when it says, my Lord, my Rabb forgives me, maybe more generic. But I guess the way I understand is that when I do not ascribe things to false idols, I can benefit, I can enjoy the beauties to full extent. So for instance, when I have a beautiful relationship with someone, say with a friend, with my parents, or with my child, that when I do not ascribe, or when I ascribe this beautiful relationship to people that I have the relationship with, then it is doomed to go away, fade out eventually, which gives me this sadness. We discussed this many times in different occasions, so I don't want to go too much in detail. But when I do ascribe this beautiful relationship to the one who creates relationships, the one who creates beautiful experience feelings, then I can enjoy, I can benefit this relationship eternally, because it's coming from an eternal source. So this understanding, this experience is the gate, how the gates of the paradise is opened for me. And I reach this understanding by following messengers and not worshipping false idols. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah khair. Very beautiful. So then, yes, first let's start from as you were saying. I'll just paraphrase what you were saying to the extent that I understand. So yes, there is a historical narration that is being narrated with this story, saying that there was this person who lived in that part of the world and who was just calling his people, then his people stoned him to death. Fine, that could have been the case. But the way we are reading Quran in our discussions was, this is speech of God, speech of my creator, who is not bound with space or time. He is speaking to me here and now. Like as a person who is living in that city in 2020, right in the middle of this pandemic. And what is the message that he is, the one who is knowing me better than I know myself, is telling me through this text, through this speech. So he must be knowing me, and just to make it more visual, as if, just as a metaphor, don't take it literal, as if my creator is right here knowing everything about me and telling me those sentences as something that's going to perfectly fit my condition. So it's not like this is a story of somebody else and I'm going to get partial messages out of it after like applying filters of time, history, location, this and that, but rather, what does my creator tell me? Because he's speaking to me this message right now, because beyond space and time. So putting that historical story aside, what does my creator tell me when he says, enter to the paradise? So which paradise? Where am I now? Am I on earth? And we discussed previously in one of the earlier discussions, Quran was mentioning man was sent down to earth from paradise. So now I'm on earth. And while we were discussing that, we said, if I'm not aware of the creator of things, like I guess we have been using the simple example of a text. When I look at a text, when I was in, let's say, first grade, I was just trying to read those shapes. They were ink for me. Even before starting to learn reading, they were just ink or just dirt on paper. But as I start to learn reading, those shapes or those ink pieces became as if got a third dimension, a dimension of meaning started opening up to me. So then I said, oh, this is actually a message, an author, there is an author behind the scenes who has written this and speaking to me right now. And this became like a medium between me and the author. Likewise, this earth, if I take it as a two-dimensional, like an apple is an apple, sun is sun, and it's just too hot, COVID is this virus trying to kill me. If I take it as such, I am truly on earth. I am cast down to earth. But, and in this case, I'm ascribing everything as partners to the creator. COVID is a thing in and of itself trying to kill me, and I am the one who needs to defend himself. So I am a God, COVID is a God, but all of us are small gods, meaning that we hold some power to some extent within our hands. This is, I am on earth. But if I go to paradise, first let me take it as figurative. If I start seeing that, no, COVID is not a thing in and of itself who holds power in its hands, but rather it's a messenger. There must be a one who is creating this thing within an order, because even that disease is progressing within an order. This is why they're trying to find like a vaccination for that. It has an order, and we are trying to identify its order so that we speak the language of that thing to say, stop, don't harm me. So there's this order, but there must be the order who speaks to me. If I start seeing it like this, what is the message of that virus to me? What does the creator of that virus tell me about this? Then I start stepping into paradise. And this is what this person is already doing in here. He started saying that, why shall I ascribe partners to the creator? I am a worshiper. So I am the needy one. I am being provided. As I start seeing the existence like this, then I start ascending to the heavens. I'm not on earth, two-dimensional earth anymore. I am as if now getting the third dimension, as in first graders get the third dimension of meaning through two-dimensional paper and ink. A third dimension, if you like, a new realm of meaning opens to that child. Likewise, Iman, belief, the certainty that this example is talking about, opens up this third dimension of eternal happiness, which is the beautiful names of the Creator, is being open to my world. So if I'm in this condition, like the man in here, I start hearing the call saying that enter to the paradise, because then paradise start becoming visible to me. Paradise, how is it being defined in the Quran? It's an eternal realm. It's not temporary. This world is temporary, right? I am dying, everything is dying. But the meaning aspect of things, like for example, there's this paper over here, some text is written on it. If I burn the paper is going to vanish, it's going to die. But the meaning on the paper, if I read it once, just does burning of paper going to burn the meaning? No. Meaning is eternal, relatively speaking, for that example. Likewise, an apple, if I see that apple, I will eat that apple and apple is going to vanish. But if I see that this apple is actually a gift, someone who knows that I like this taste and I am in need of such a thing, and also who has a perfect taste of color, texture, and everything, has gifted it to me. And to as if show me how much value he gives to me, he turned this earth around the sun, bring water from the ocean to here, build up this tree. He created every single stage at every moment and eventually gave me this apple as a gift. Like if I were to get such a gift from president of this country, I would be so much happy. I would boast to everyone saying, this apple you see here, it's a gift from the president. Like now the creator of heavens and the earth is gifting me this apple. So even if I eat that apple and finish it, that meaning of an eternally beautiful one is providing me. This doesn't vanish. This is paradise. So before entering to the paradise physically, like after I die, which, and Brother Birkan was saying that the perspective just I was trying to describe in here puts me into paradise when I am living on earth and gives me the impression that after I die, it cannot be the end of existence. There must exist a real eternal realm in which I will keep enjoying the beautiful names of the Creator. And I will start hearing this call if I take the stand of this person as it is being described so far. And interestingly, another question. It says, قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. Here it was said. So it's like a speech and it's to be heard. What does this imply to you? Do you hear anyone calling? Or why is here, what does it, if you like, from a beauty of speech, actually this is a very beautiful way of speaking in Quran. So what is the significance of speech in here? It is said, it was said. So since I don't see any hands yet, what I see from here is, yes, Ahnaf, please go ahead.
He's already in paradise before the afterlife begins, as in like the day of judgment, and then people enter paradise. He's already in paradise,
Yes.
like on earth. What?
Yes, yes. On earth, when he was on earth, because he already went through the judgment and everything, right? He made this process of evaluating things, and he arrived to this realm of paradise. But also in here, this person is starting to see the existence as a speech. Like, for example, think of it like that. You love someone so much. Let's assume there is a boy or girl, whatever, that you are so much loving, and you don't need words to communicate. If this person brings you like a rose, you know that this rose is not simply like a combination of carbon, phosphor, whatever chemicals. You know that this rose is love, actually. It's a word of speech. It is a manifestation of love put into, like cast into chemicals, but it's a speech, actually. It's not, if somebody says, okay, I'm going to eat this rose, you'll say, what the heck are you doing? It's a speech. It was a symbol of love. Likewise, for a person as being described in here, this person is aware, becoming aware that the creation, the existence that I'm experiencing is a speech. My creator is constantly speaking to me. Everything is a symbol of that speech. Sun rising is my creator is talking to me. Or we gave the example of apple, but you can also think about a breeze. This wind is just as if caressing your skin. Your creator is, what do you get from that? Because you are getting happy and feeling refreshed with the breeze. What does this tell you about your creator? Because if your mom to make you a beautiful food, the food that you love, you would take it as a sign of love, right? Or in your birthday, your mom cooks you the pie that you love most, and you will take it as a sign of manifestation of love. How about breeze that I enjoy? When it breezes, do I take it as, well, sometimes it's windy here. This time of the year it's windy. Do I take it as such? Or no, this is a creation that's happening right now. So my creator is, knowing that I love this, is demonstrating his love to me through creating this to me. So do I take it as speech? And speech of adkhul al-jannah, enter to the paradise, as if like an invitation to the paradise. Then, in a nutshell, this mindset that is being described in here makes the creation itself, the existence itself, an invitation to paradise, a speech of invitation to the paradise. Every sunrise is a speech of the creator inviting me to the paradise. And if I am in the mood or in the mindset, in the state of the man that was being described in here, which means following the messengers and worshiping the creator, I find myself on that door. And then it says, قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. So he is saying that I wish my people could know. So this is a knowledge, like it is, because this was certain. It's not like he's imagining to be in that state. But you say, as much as I think I am alive, or I know what life means, for instance, I exist, I say this is something that I know for sure. I mean, that sort of a thing. It's not like I imagine this happening. No, this person at that level is having a certain knowledge of what? بِمَا غَفَرَ لِي رَبِّي وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ, of how my Lord has forgiven me and placed me among the honored. So I will ask two questions in here as we are coming to the end of our time, but we can extend it 5-10 minutes if you have comments, which I will very appreciate. This person at this point is saying that my Lord has forgiven me. What does it mean? What is forgiveness or being forgiven? Now that, again, remembering that I am this person, or potentially I can be the person that is being described in here, what does it mean to be forgiven? Forgiveness of what? Because generally, culturally speaking, we get to know that I had sins. Yeah, at that time, I looked at things that I shouldn't have looked at. So I guess I did some sins and I missed a few prayers here and there. So God has forgiven me for that. Is this what he's talking about in here? Or what is being forgiven? That Rabb, my Lord or my provider, sustainer, has forgiven me. How can I say, because again, this man is sure about the fact that he is forgiven. So how can I become, get the knowledge of my Lord has forgiven me? Is this something possible? Let me put it this way. Yes, if the question is clear enough, it's your turn, dear online participants or dear participants, since everybody is online nowadays. Ayşe Nur and Abdurrahman, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. How I understand it is that being in a state of forgivenness, or me asking to be forgiven, is me being in a state of being connected to my Creator. So if I am feeling connected to Him, either through my actions, through my thoughts, through my reflections, then that immediately already puts me in a state of being honored as well. So I think the forgiveness has to do with being connected to him. I mean, that's my short answer.
Yes. So Bima Ghafara in here, as in the previous part, it was talking about ascribing partners, not worshiping, not following the messenger, which led to not worshiping, which led to ascribing partners. So, and while we were discussing this, we gave the example of me being a good teacher or not, right? So those people were like the people that this person is now talking to, like his people, they were ascribing partners to the Creator. And this person is saying that don't do that. As if I find myself in that state, right? I think like I achieved something. This is my sin, actually. This is my capital sin, ascribing partners to the Creator. And even when I look at, let's say, like speaking from a fiqh perspective, when I eat something that I'm not supposed to eat, when I look at things that I'm not supposed to look at, what is the idea behind this? What is under the hood? What's happening under the hood? Actually, I am saying as if I want to enjoy and I do it. I am the owner. But abiding by such quote unquote fiqh rules would mean, no, the owner of that thing prevents me to touch it, look at, therefore I don't do it. So coming against every such rule in the literal sense of word sin is also inherently carrying the meaning of ascribing partners, which partner in this case being my desires. I am taking my desires as my Lord and I am following them. So ascribing partners again. So sin in this case is again rooted in ascribing partners. Everything is either belief or unbelief, actually. This is everything, where everything boils down to. So this person is now aware of that. And Ghafara in here, because he didn't talk about any of the rules so far. Like it's not like breaking some fiqh rules. Under breaking such commands and prohibitions also, there is ascribing partners. This is the sin in there. So, and this person in here is becoming aware of that and saying, no, I am not going to ascribe partners to him. So this is the seeking of forgiveness that's happening in here. And what is the sign that I am saved from those sins, meaning that I received forgiveness? If I am becoming aware of this problem that I'm ascribing, let's say, my ego as partner to my creator, if I truly admit that I don't own any of those qualities in me, I would know then that I am cleared from that sin. Because I repented from that problem. I have an ego problem. And to the extent that I realize I am being cleansed from those claims, I would say, oh, Alhamdulillah, all praise be to my creator. I am being forgiven from that fault of ascribing partners. So this is why seeking for forgiveness and being forgiven are, if you like, next to each other. And I can get to sense that I am being forgiven based on if ascribing partners in me is being replaced by belief, meaning that being convinced that I am not owner of those qualities, but truly. Because deep inside, I mean, literally speaking, I know myself that if you praise me, I will start smiling. I will try to hide it, but still, it's something that I like. Because I truly think I have such qualities, which is, and may Allah save me from that. So to the extent that I realize this as a problem and try to admit my neediness, and that this state is replaced with praise of the creator, this I would take as a sign of Ghafar Ali. My creator has forgiven me, has erased this sin of ascribing my ego as a partner to my Lord. It is erased. And then again, I will not praise myself for, oh, good job, Yusuf. You eradicated your ego, which is like a self-contradictory, right? But I would say, Alhamdulillah, all praise be to my Lord who saved me from the delusion of me having those qualities. وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ. And then I will realize that actually this state that I am to be in is a providence, is being provided to me by my creator. It's not something that belongs to me. It's not something that I myself have achieved. So that much from me. Any comments, questions that you would like to add for today's discussion? Yes, brothers, sisters, any comments, please? Brother Birkan, please go ahead.
Maybe just a reminder to myself and anyone who may benefit as well. Like one thing I guess we should highlight from time to time is that when we read these verses, the question is never what happened to this guy or how this guy was be forgiven. But the question is always why my creator is talking to me, why my creator telling me that I am forgiven. That it's me always being forgiven, it's me always being stoned, it's me always being called to the paradise, invited to paradise. So I guess the way we usually do is we try to make sense this verse in our world so that we can learn something about religion. Like I will study these verses is from time to time, I will try to apply them to my own life, but only to make sense of what happened to some other people in some period of time. Like what happened to a king, what happened to a man who was stoned, what happened to some prophets and so on. I use my life as an example, try to understand the real object, which is someone outside there, or try to get some knowledge about religion, what happened to some religious figures. But the way we study these verses is just the reverse. We say what is narrated in Quran. Say it is a real story of a real person or not. Whether it is a narration which is a made up story, it doesn't matter. Because the point is, the real object is to try to understand our own life, what happens to us, what is happening to us, what my creator is trying to tell me. And we use these historical narrations or stories just as an example, so that we can make sense of our life. So we shouldn't get lost, as we always emphasize this. We shouldn't get lost in the details of the events. What kind of clothes this man was wearing at that time? Was it before the Egyptian pharaoh, or after it? Was this guy living in this part of the city or another part of the country or the world? This is not the point. The point is whether I, Birkan, is forgiven or not. And if I cannot make sense of this verse within my own life, then I cannot claim that I believe in this verse. When I believe in the verse of a Quran, when I see that it applies 100% to my own life, I cannot believe a verse which tells me, give me some information about something happened at a distant time, in a distant place that I cannot even confirm. You cannot believe such a thing. To believe a verse, you have to see that it applies to you 100%. Just, as a reminder to myself and again, whoever like to benefit from it.
Jazakallah khair. Yes, I guess we need to keep that reminder and remind each other about this again and again. And this series of our discussions have been titled as the previous one was especially You in Quran. So we were trying to find ourselves in Quran, although we have been studying the stories of messengers in Quran. We were finding, reading it as when he says Nuh, talks about me, when he says Musa, talks about me, but all different aspects of my life as I can potentially be in, or talking about different aspects of human qualities, but being exemplified with those prophets, but directly talking about me. And likewise, this is how, inshallah, we are trying to read these verses also. And this was coming from our description of what speech of God is. Jazakallah khair. So inshallah, I will stop here. Next week, we will continue with the closing part of this story. وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ مِنْ جُنْدٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَمَا كُنَّا مُنزِلِينَ. So we were not going to send upon his people after him soldiers from the skies, and we don't do such things. So we will continue with this part, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.